Hey friends. I'm I just had a full day with my daughter for the first time in quite some time, certainly before I went to Houston, and probably quite a bit of time before that, because I had a pretty crazy lead up into Houston. But she woke up this morning. She was not feeling good, and she woke up this morning, and it was clearly going to be a day when she was not going to school. And in fact, I hear her in the kitchen as we speak, rummaging around. Not sure what's happening. That's the way it goes. And I'm sort of, I'm reminded, there was a period last summer when I spent a lot of days with her. I mean, lots of full days. We had our activities like going swimming and going to the park, and we did, today we went to the car wash, and then we went shoe shopping. We had a wonderful little father-daughter morning. And I mean, there's so many experiences that sort of that this evokes, and there's so many things that come online for me when I have a day like this. And it's odd to me that it takes this long. I mean, spending a full day with your child feels like it shouldn't be that infrequent, but I guess I've just had a pretty intense couple of months, so that's the way it's worked out. But I find myself coming back to that place where I can just settle into a rhythm with her. And knowing that I have a full day with her takes me out of the mode where I have any other agenda. There's no other work I'm trying to get done. I mean, I actually did get a little bit of work done. Just a little bit of writing, and I sent something off to my brother and managed to get an email or two written, but it was kind of like whatever fits into the cracks is fine. And I just feel this sense of, on my side, it's like this warmth. I remember what that contact feels like, and I remember what I'm about. I remember what my time is about, what this parenting process is about. It's like it comes back. And the other thing I noticed, interestingly, is that I feel like she grounds down into a kind of more settled place. I don't know how to describe it, but I know that it's unsettling for her when I go out of town, right? I know that when I'm not here, Katie is doing a massively heavy lift of just day in, day out, being on. And I kind of come back into that mode, and it's like, I noticed before I went to Houston. I think maybe the reason why I'm kind of feeling this intensely is because I remember before I went to Houston, I did a video post like this one, and I was wrestling with the choice. I was wrestling with, what's it going to mean to go away for so long, and what's it going to mean to prioritize this work, so much that I really have to put my my family time down for a while. You know, I mean, we were religious about FaceTiming and meeting up for meals and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it was really kind of a time for me to go off and do a thing. And I was wrestling with it because I couldn't tell if I was like, is that the right thing? You know, is it what I want to be doing? And I think, I answered a lot of those questions, and I think the experience certainly speaks for itself. But I'm feeling this, I've noticed that over the course of time, there's a kind of a toggle where that closeness with the family is, and particularly with Annalise, I mean, with Katie, I'm a little more connected throughout, and we can share some of those experiences a little more. But with Annalise, it's really about time. It's really about, I heard somebody recently talk about, don't get too obsessed with spending quality time with your kids. Spend quantity time. Just spend time. And I spend a day like today, and I certainly get that message. It's like of course there's quality time, and of course there are things that we can do that are really meaningful, even if we only have an hour or two. But just having a whole day and letting ourselves feel each other's rhythm. I can feel when, go into a shoe store and look around for an hour and not buy anything, just feeling her move. And that's something that's just, it takes a certain amount of time to do that. That's not something that you can kind of force into a certain window. You kind of just have to be on board for that ride. And something else has been happening recently where I notice my practices, my Qigong practice, my physical practice, and my meditation practice, I notice myself holding them more and more gently, even as they feel deeper. So it's like I've gone through phases in my life where I really feel kind of obsessed with a practice, one or the other. Right now it's piano. But I'll get really, it's a form of attachment to a practice. Now, you can argue whether that's, good or bad, or healthy or unhealthy, or whether you need that in order to make progress in a discipline, or, there's any number of ways you can slice it, especially when you're talking about creative practice. But as far as these kind of what I would just call foundational life practices go, meditation being absolutely indispensable, and Qigong and yoga essentially also being equally indispensable, because if my body's not in a place where I can feel healthy and energetic, nothing else is going to work. That's the foundation. And, my Qigong teacher used to really kind of make that point. He would say, if you're not doing your Qigong practice, don't bother sitting meditation. Which I'm not sure if, a Sadhguru or a yogi or someone like that would say anything. But I have always noticed that, in the yogic tradition, the first aspect of meditation that we work on is asana. Asana is posture. It's not the intellectual or even the spiritual play. That's not our focus right away. It's what can our body do? Can our body actually sit still? Or is there so much tension and agitation in it that it resists that? And I think / hope that as I'm feeling some gentleness around these practices, that's a sign of progress. That's a sign that I'm able to let myself kind of go, able to let myself follow the flow of life, follow the flow of a toddler all day. without needing to hold on to my center. That's the thing that I've also noticed in myself sometimes. Not so much recently, actually, but we get into meditation, we get into a discipline that feels like it really grounds us or centers us, and then it's like, but I don't feel centered today. Why am I not centered? How can I get more centered? I remember this beautiful poem. I'm going to have to paraphrase it. I forget who wrote it. It's a famous kind of like, he wrote several books of kind of like off the wall poetry, and he said something like, I used to spend a lot of time sitting trying to find my center. But then one day I noticed that it moves effortlessly in the slightest breeze. Now I spend less time sitting and more time sailing. That's pretty much the poem. A couple words are probably off, and I wish I could remember who that was so I could credit them. But I've found that, I just find the wisdom of that really beautiful, because it's kind of like saying, these practices are great, but the purpose of a practice is to bring us into alignment with life. And life is always moving. Life is not going to sit on a cushion and wait for us to be ready. Life is going to move. And so the fruit of a practice, of an effective practice, is to be able to sail with the wind, with the breeze of life, and follow. And and my God, when we're talking about a child, it's just one of the most beautiful things I can imagine. I did have to remind myself a couple times today, just, Robin, don't make any plans. Don't have anything on the calendar that you need to deal with, because most likely that's not going to happen. And then you still grab stuff in the gaps and it works out. But it's been a really fun day. I don't know how maybe I might get another one of these tomorrow, depending on how she's doing. We'll see. But that's where I am today, people. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. Love you very much. Thanks so much for this conversation, for this forum to externalize some of what's coming up in me. It's transformative. So I thank you. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.